Good morning, Jack here, and today we're going to talk about turning your shed into a licensed commercial kitchen, turning my shed into a licensed commercial kitchen, and how the two of them might connect. Creating a commercial kitchen in your space is going to have a number of details. Some of them are the same as mine, some of them are different and unique to your space, but the ultimate goal is the same. It's turning what is currently used as storage or a shed or a garage or an outbuilding into a licensed commercial kitchen, and finding out how much that's going to cost and what kind of details you need to go through to create the space. Identifying the costs in your project are going to be related to a number of things. Some of them are the same and consistent among all licensed commercial kitchens, and some of them will be unique to your space. Some of the things that are the same: you're going to need cleanable walls, cleanable ceilings, cleanable floors. You're going to need adequate lighting in the space. You're going to need HVAC in the space to keep it warm in the winter and cool in the summer. You're going to have electric available that's adequate to the equipment that you have in there and what you're producing. You're going to have plumbing supplied, so you're going to need hot water and cold water, potable water. You're going to need equipment that is specific to what you're baking or cooking or grilling or smoking or producing. Some of it might be very expensive and unique to you. Some of it might be very common and used by anybody in a licensed commercial kitchen. Also, your equipment does not necessarily have to be brand new or the best or quality-wise on a scale that prices it out of what you can do. Instead of using a large commercial mixer, you could use a smaller mixer, even a home mixer that gets the job done as long as it fits within the acceptable standards of what your inspecting agency will ask of you. For your plumbing, you're going to need either connecting to your home water and sewer if you have city service, or if you're out in the country, you're going to have a connection to your well and septic, or have your own well and septic provided to your building. You'll need a way to make hot water, whether it's an on-demand or a water heater, and that supply of water will need to be adequate to the usage that you have. So if you have a larger 3-compartment sink, you're going to need a larger water heater. Your plumbing system will need to be vented, and most likely you will need a grease trap. And just let me say right now that grease traps are not as expensive as you might think they are. I know when I used to be in business, I didn't have a grease trap, and I would talk to other restaurant owners, and it seemed to be a very exorbitant price, and that's just not true. You can get a grease trap for pretty inexpensive and install it. I used to own a coffee bar, and we had light baking in that coffee bar, and we had a kitchen that was about 20 by 20, and in it we had our 3-compartment sink and oven and refrigeration and freezer and all that kind of stuff. And of course, once you start in that process, at least for me, it seems like everything kind of went down a pathway and it was laid out in front of me, and it seemed pretty easy, even though there was a lot of things that I had to take care of, things that I had to do, inspectors that had to take care of stuff. This process, even though in reality it's probably smaller, seemed to be more daunting. And yet once you get into it and start breaking apart the details, it's really not. For your equipment, a couple of the most important things that are common to all commercial kitchens are the need for a 3-compartment sink, or I guess you could even do a dishwasher, a mop sink, and a hand sink. Your 3-compartment sink has to be large enough to accommodate your largest piece of equipment that you need to wash, rinse, and sanitize. A mop sink is needed, of course, for or a utility sink for mopping your floors, and a hand sink has to be there for hand washing facilities. Of course, you're going to need refrigerator and freezer space, and that will vary depending on the product that you are producing. Some people need more refrigeration space, some need more freezer space, some need very little of both. Then you're going to need work surfaces. Again, those are going to need to be cleanable, so whether they're stainless steel or hard surface or whatever they are, they need to be good cleanable surfaces to work on. You're going to need racks, storage shelves, maybe upper storage, drawers. Then there's going to be specific equipment. For me, I needed a vacuum sealer, I needed a scale. You might need a mixer, a stove, an oven. If you use a stove or an oven or some type of gas flame, most likely you'll be required to put a hood in, and hoods can be quite expensive, so that is something to take into account when you're creating your space. You'll need toilet facilities, whether it's on site or whether it's in your home right next to your barn. They're going to need to know that you have toilet facilities available for yourself and if you have employees in the future. Outside of the building has to be landscaped in such a way that it doesn't encourage or promote rodents from making nests around your place, because if you have food stuff in and around your space, it will potentially invite rodents to take up residence. And if you have bushes and stuff piled around your building, they're going to require you to clean that up and make it so that the outside space of your barn is not an encouragement to those animals to come there. You'll also need a place to dispose of your trash and your recycling. Then you're going to need to know who licenses and oversees your facility. Is it the Department of Agriculture? Is it a county health department, or possibly a city health department? And this is going to determine who you talk to. It's going to determine who oversees and licenses you. And although each of those organizations have very similar requirements in what your space needs, how it's to be laid out, the processes that you employ, and the work that you do, you're going to have to recognize that each place is a little bit different and a little bit unique in what they expect from you. At this time, I happen to be under the Department of Agriculture because my main business has been, at least historically, the creation of my rubs and seasonings. If my catering business started to get more income than my rubs and seasonings, and in the period of a year, more sales came from catering than came from my rubs and seasonings, I may end up having to go underneath the county health department. Different inspectors may require or request different things from you. So the Department of Ag inspector might like to see something done one way, where the county health department might like to see it a little different way, but typically they'll fall within a similar range of what's expected and needed for you to be licensed and to stay licensed. Then you're going to need paperwork. You're going to have your standard operating procedures. You're going to have food laws that you abide by. Probably print them out, put them in binders, have them there. You're going to need your recipes and documentation on site there. I know that the idea of being inspected and all the requirements that you have to accomplish to get your shed as a licensed kitchen may sound daunting, but know that your local Department of Ag or county health department or city health department person is there to help you. That's what their job is. They want you to be licensed. They want you to do it correctly. They want to help you. They want to give you the tools that you need to succeed. That's their job. That's what they get paid for. There are also lots of other videos and online websites, and even people that you can hire as consultants to help you step through everything that you need to turn your shed into a commercial kitchen. Free is always good. Whether you get something of value, if you have to pay for it, is a matter of each individual organization or person who says they can help you and whether they can or not. But I'm telling you, I think you can do it on your own. There's a ton of tools out there. The information is online. You can find what is needed for your locale online, and then you can talk to your local inspector and they will help you step through everything that you need to create your commercial kitchen. And I did it on my own. I didn't pay anybody. I did have the advantage of previous experience, but it was a long time ago and this was something very new and very different, and I was able to do it, and it's complete, it's up and running, I'm licensed, and I'm doing the work, and I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing, and you can do the same thing too. All right, so now let's talk about how small your commercial kitchen may be. Mine is 192 square foot. It's a 20 by 20 cement pad with a 12 by 16 foot building. It's plenty of space for what I do, and although I could use more space, do I really need it? The thing that you're going to have to balance is how much do you need today versus how much you might need tomorrow as you grow in your business. Can you add on to it? Are there other places that you can store product, whether it's your inventory or your finished product? You're going to have to figure that stuff out on your own and maybe talk with your inspector about what's available for you. You don't want to pay for space that you don't need. For me, 12 by 16 is really adequate for pretty much everything that I do. And although when I tell somebody how much stuff I have packed in my space, they're pretty amazed that in that small of a building, I have all the things that I have in there. And yet when I'm working in there, it doesn't feel like it's too small for me. Next, I'm going to show you a video of the inside of my barn. I'll do it kind of in slow-mo and talk through it and identify some of the pieces and parts that are inside of my space so that you can see it. Then after that, we'll go into some of the equipment that I have. Some of it you may need, some of it maybe not. And then we'll finish it up. And if you have any questions or comments, love to hear from you. Please, you can comment below and I will answer any questions that you have. And hopefully this will be a helpful tool to help you get your shed and turn it into a licensed kitchen. Let's move on. So here's the front door to my licensed kitchen. As you go into it, probably the first thing you notice is the flooring is an epoxy flooring. I had that professionally done, and that is one thing, let me tell you, it was worth the price. So when you turn to the left, I have a 6 foot by, I believe it's a 30-inch deep work surface. There's my mop sink, my hand sink, and my 3-compartment sink. There's an overhead sprayer on my 3-compartment sink along with 2 faucets. And then on the right hand side there is the water heater. It's 38 gallon. I have a couple of storage racks that keep my spices and all the ingredients that I need. When you go to the right, walking in the door, there's another of the same 6 foot by 30-inch work surface, shelving up above. Then I have a chest freezer and a commercial refrigerator, and along with a pan rack. So my work surfaces are stainless steel with stainless steel shelving underneath. Very cleanable, very nice. I have them on casters. 2 of them lock, 2 of them don't. My door is wide enough that I can actually roll them out front and put them on my patio if I need to. And there is a drawer for storing spatulas and spoons, etc. My ceilings in the barn are 9 foot, which really made a huge difference for putting shelving up above. If they were 8-foot ceilings, it would have been more difficult, especially with my smaller space. Here are some extra LED lights that I have hanging. You can buy them on Amazon. I have the link below. They plug into each other and they daisy chain, which means if you turn one on, they all go on. If you turn one off, they all go off, and it works really handy for adding extra light to my work surface. There's my breaker box. It's a 100 amp breaker box. I have 50 amp service. Here's my deli scale with printer. That is something you may or may not need, but that one in particular is really awesome for what I do. If you have any questions about that, you can ask. That's my VacMaster vacuum sealer. It's a chamber vacuum sealer. It's one of the smaller commercial units that you can buy. Next is my mop sink or utility sink. This is one on legs. You can get a floor installed one. I preferred this just for the way my plumbing was laid out. And then just to the right of it is my hand sink. Again, I just got the smallest one that I legally could get there. And then my 3-compartment sink. Originally I was going to get one that was straight, and just for space layout I got this one. It's a corner unit and it works awesome. Got 2 faucets and an overhead sprayer, and it has drain boards on either side. My grease trap is buried in the concrete, which saves floor space. I had one originally that was above, and then I was able to put one in, and I'm very glad that I did. Here's my water heater. It's a 38 gallon. I think they call it a fat boy or a low water heater, but it produces everything that I need to fill my 3-compartment sink. And there you can see some of the plumbing and my floor sink underneath it. This is the refrigerator that I bought. I bought it used from a local equipment dealer who refurbished it for me before I got it. And it's wonderful. It's a very high quality fridge, and I was able to save a lot by buying used. I had to flip the door around from right hinge to left hinge, but I have it with racks in there that bake sheets are used for my shelving rather than regular shelves. It's great because they're adjustable, so I can raise and lower the height of each individual shelf, and very cleanable, and I can just put pans in and take pans out as needed. Then I have my chest freezer. I bought this one. It's a Kenmore. I bought it from Lowe's, and I keep it at its lowest setting basically for temperature. It does a great job, does exactly what I need. Then I purchased a 59 by 24, I think it's called an HDPE surface, basically a cutting board, and I used double stick tape to attach it to the top of my freezer, and that gave me a whole additional work surface space to work with. And got a local company here who cut it custom for me, and it only cost me about $100. This is my pan rack, so I can store stuff on it, store my bake sheets, can put hot or cold food on the rack, take it in and out of the refrigerator as needed. I can also roll it outside onto the patio when I need to. That's my Fujitsu mini split. It's air conditioning and heat. It has a setting on there called minimum heat, which keeps it at 50 degrees in my barn during the winter, and then I can turn it up from an app on my phone. There's also a remote control, and you can fully control all the settings of the unit from that remote as well as the app on your phone. Here's a little bit close-up of the flooring I had installed. It ran $1,500 to do the 12 by 16 barn, and it was so worth it. Trust me, I have done a ton of research on doing it yourself, and it was worth the expense. Then for those of you who do grilling or smoking or want to have something to hold foods hot, this is actually a propane smoker, which I don't use as a smoker. I only use as basically an outdoor oven. And as you can see on the inside, it has shelving, 6 of them, that can hold the hotel pan sized pans. So I can put 6 full-size hotel pans in there, turn the burner on low and maintain a temperature, or turn it up higher and continue cooking product. So that's it for the inside view of my space and my equipment. If you have any questions on it, put your questions down below in the comments. My barn was built in 2020, brand new. Built it myself with a couple friends. Had some professional help as well. As I said, it's on a 20 by 20 slab. It's a 12 by 16 barn. 4-foot overhang on one side and an 8-foot overhang on the front. I have 9-foot ceilings on the inside. I actually have a post on my website where I give all the information on building the shed if that's what you want to do. The walls and ceilings are batt insulated, and I have 50 amp service to the barn. Brought the cold water and sewer service last year in 2022. Of course, in hindsight, I could have done that when I first built the barn, but most likely I would have had to change things, so it was a little extra expense, but it still worked out great in the way that it worked out. A couple other things that I have are some Wi-Fi controls. So I have in my fridge and freezer monitors for the temperature inside the refrigerator and the freezer, and those I have settings on the app that's on my phone as well, and I can have an alarm set, so if the temperature goes too high or too low, the app will notify me. In the show notes beneath, I've listed links to a number of different things that I purchased from Amazon, and if you want, you can go on there and check out what I purchased just for comparison, for pricing, for the items that I got. A couple of things that I added later. One was I added an extra door lock just to make sure, so that the door already had a lock on it, of course, but I added a deadbolt, and I purchased a fingerprint door lock, which has worked out really great. So anyways, if you want, go on the show notes and you can click on any of the links and you will find links to everything that I purchased. So thanks for watching this video. Hope it helped you in your process, and I know I learned a lot going through this process, and it's great to finally be on the other side of it and to actually be up and operating. So that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day.